Now, EU leaders agreed to open talks with Ukraine on joining the bloc after Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban ducked out of his threat to veto the plan. The European Council President announced the decision, which also included starting negotiations with Moldova as a signal for hope of their people and for the continent.
We want to support Ukraine. It's a very powerful political signal. It's a very powerful political decision. And today and tonight, I think to the people of Ukraine, we are on their side, and this decision made by the member states is extremely important for the credibility of the European Union.
Orban, who had insisted for weeks he would block the move, agreed not to be in the room when the other leaders made a consensus decision. The Hungarian Prime Minister denounced that what he dubbed a completely senseless, irrational and wrong decision. He was completely against it, but he complained that 26 other countries insisted the decision be taken. If he had chosen to use his veto, Orban could have derailed the summit. He backed down one day after the European Commission unlocked $10.4 billion in frozen funds for Hungary.
Now, the EU summit also granted candidate status to Georgia, one step behind formal negotiations. Volodymyr Zelensky, who did not attend the knife-edge summit, hailed the decision as a victory that motivates, inspires and strengthens. And the president said, and I quote, "Moldova turns a new page today with EU's go-ahead for accession talks." And the White House, which faces opposition from Republicans in the United States to its own support for Ukraine, hailed a historic decision. The decision to open membership negotiations with Kyiv provides a major boost for Ukraine as fears swirl over Western support. However, the road remains long to actually joining the EU. And before the talks can be launched, EU states must agree on negotiating framework, giving Orban ample opportunity to stall the process again.
Attention at the summit now focuses on a plan to grant Ukraine a $54 billion funding package from the EU budget that Orban has also threatened to block. Kiev desperately needs the money to prop up its war-torn economy and to change the narrative that backing from its allies is waning. Most EU leaders wanted this week's summit to send a sign of solidarity with Ukraine 22 months after Russia launched an all-out invasion in 2022. But any decisions must be unanimous or at least unopposed. And Orban initially insisted a decision on funding could wait until after June's European elections.
The critics have accused Orban of holding Kyiv's survival hostage in a bid to force Brussels to release billions of euros of EU funds frozen over a rule of law dispute. And as mentioned, the European Commission unlocked $10.4 billion in frozen funds for Hungary on Wednesday. Now, billions still remain out of Orban's grasp, but he denied that Hungary was making a link between the cash and its Ukraine stance. And that's not our style, he said.
The situation on the battlefield in Ukraine does not look promising for Kiev after a counter-offensive fail. Putin boasted on Thursday that he has 617,000 troops in Ukraine and that their positions are improving. Across Brussels, at NATO headquarters, Alliance Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned that the West must continue supporting Ukraine in order to protect the rest of Europe.